hope you're all doing okay. Today I wanted to share some more watercolor tips with you while I work on the first couple layers of this really big portrait. This one is going to focus on layering, but if you're interested in the sketching process for this piece or about the watercolor techniques I use most, I'll have both of those videos linked down in the description and up in the information cards. I also want to give a huge thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. You guys know how much I love Skillshare. It's my go-to place to learn new skills. But if you're somehow unfamiliar with Skillshare, it's an online learning community with over 25,000 classes on design, business, and more. Skillshare is the perfect place to learn whether you want to get inspired, grow your career, or just find new ways to get creative. Premium membership is super affordable with an annual membership costing less than $10 a month, which gives you unlimited access to the classes and communities that are just right for you and your goals this year. Skillshare is very kindly offering the first 500 of my subscribers who use the link in the description 2 full months of premium access. That's 2 whole months with the more than 7 million creators already on Skillshare for free. So before we get started with the painting, I really want to recommend a few classes that I really think you'll find helpful. Although none of these classes are covering portraits like what I'll be working on today, they have really useful information and super detailed instructions on building up layers and making details stand out using different values and adding contrast. In this first one, Gary goes through a super detailed painting with you step by step. Just watching it all come together was so inspiring. Next, I have this class by Leyla with a more simple subject, but the way she explains everything really helps you understand why she's painting the way that she has showed you. Lastly, I have another food illustration class, this time by Eugenia, which was super in-depth and really showed the process of building up the saturation and adding texture. I really like looking at food illustration videos when learning about layers because they're usually really beautifully detailed and full of personality. I really hope you find these classes helpful. I try to only recommend classes that I think you guys can learn a lot from. I recently replaced all of my lower quality paint in this palette with some nicer paint that was sent to me by one of you guys. Thanks again, Sienna Marie Art. If you're watching, I'll never get over how very nice it was of you. But since I'm not used to this setup, I started with a little swatching as a bit of a guide until I get a little bit more familiar with it. Mostly finished by the end, but I'll need to add the final details while finishing up the rest of the painting another day. First, I start with light washes and build up the opaqueness slowly. I like to start with a light wash of blue or purple, just to mark out where the shadows will go. I also like to outline details that I know will be dark, like around the eyes, the lines of the nose, and the center line of the lips. It's still pretty light though, so I can always correct or adjust any mistakes later as I build up. with this light pink. Remember not to fill in your highlights. Leave some parts completely dry, and this will help your just go over what you did before. Let the layers overlap at different points. Watercolor can dry with these really lovely edges, so you can add lots of interest by letting those cross and overlap at varying points. You can see this a little bit around the eyes on this painting, and while I'm working on bits of the hair, I'll put the first wash down, and then the second one will cover a little bit less in some areas and a little bit more in others, letting light areas have fewer layers and darker bits working up to 3 or 4. Subtle changes can make a big difference, especially in areas like the nose, where the whole shape is pretty much determined by how the shadows are placed. So take your time with really light washes. Don't worry about finishing every spot as you work on it. You can hop around, slowly adding details and keeping everything balanced. These are the layers that are the most enjoyable for me. It's where the painting really starts to come together. I like to just put on some music and zone out while slowly building up the layers without thinking too much. You can use what